Welcome back, you guys. This is the Art School Graduate, and today my guest is an illustrator, content creator, and the guy who turns everyday objects into fun, like expressive characters. I don't know if you guys have seen his YouTube. We're going to jump into some of that, but let's dive into the everyday world of bold design and creative processes with my guest, Cody Banks. Cody, how you doing, man?
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm good. How are you doing? I'm just happy to be here and glad to be on this podcast with you. I'm excited to talk to you.
All right, man. Appreciate you. So before we were talking, I was sharing with him how I actually found him. And it was actually through one of his, I would say one of his very many popular pieces, but he did a very dope how to draw Kendrick Lamar in Adobe Illustrator. And that tied in perfectly to what I was teaching my students in class, which is Adobe Illustrator, the pen tool, the shape tool, how to make them fit and everything like that. So once I saw that, I was like, you guys were going to talk about it. But let's talk about how you started with your creative roots. It was just like, how did these early experiences of you being in an illustration class at 15 shape this journey you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of in my genes. My grandma was an artist. My dad is a musician. My brother is a filmmaker. So we're all kind of like in the creative world. And I just like, even as like a young kid in elementary school, always drawing pictures, kind of copy cartoons that I like to draw. So like, Hey Arnold, I was drawing a lot of Dragon Ball Z characters, just like basically just copying them and trying to like replicate how they were in the actual cartoons. So I kind of just always had this desire to create stuff, whether it's drawing or painting or like pretty much anything. So yeah, I went in high school. I had a class, I think it was my sophomore year in high school, where they kind of taught the basics of Photoshop and Illustrator, and that's really where it all started. I was also very into making music at that age when I was a teenager and like through my college years, I was making a lot of music. So that was actually like my number one priority. But after I graduated from college, I kind of realized like the music's not really making much money. It's not really like a career path that I can follow. And I started doing more Illustrator stuff. And since then, I was just really taken off. And that's just where I've been going since then. So yeah.
Dope. So let's talk about the characters for a minute. You said, "Hey Arnold," Dragon Ball Z. Like even through some of my research, you mentioned like Adventure Time being having a heavy influence. What about these shows like stuck with you that made you say, you know what, this is something I'm gonna dabble in and I'm gonna continue to push forward through?
Yeah, I guess like the Hey Arnold and Dragon Ball Z stuff, that was more so I just really loved the shows themselves. Adventure Time is was like a little bit later. Like I was an adult by the time I started watching that. And I just really the Adventure Time, I really just loved the artwork and just how the landscapes were created and just how simple the characters were, but they were like just crazy out of this world, like literally out of this world characters that had so much expression. And that's kind of like my vibe was with just like how simple they are, but also very just unique and like just so expressive and crazy. And so that's kind of like my reasoning for liking Adventure Time. And also it's just an amazing show, just the storylines and all that stuff. So yeah, the artwork combined with the storylines is that's just like a great show in my opinion.
So has it always been like comics and like cartoons, or was it more of like storytelling? Like what was it that kind of like held you there a little bit longer?
I wasn't into comics very much, but definitely, yeah, I just like to like make a character that kind of, like you said, tells a story with whatever facial expressions it's doing, whatever pose it's doing. Kind of just like being in a moment, like a static moment where the character is doing something, or even if it's just a simple character where he's standing still. I just like making like weird looking little characters that can come to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this might be hard because a lot of people are kind of critical of themselves. What did your artwork look like back then compared to now? And can you like help us walk through this journey with you?
That's funny you asked that. I was like on my Facebook memories. That's like the only reason I have Facebook still is it tells you the memories like 12 years ago to this day.
Yeah.
I think it was like 15 years ago to this day, I had made like a self character of myself,
Mhm.
like a self portrait of myself, and it was like horrible. It was not good at all. But it was like I was looking at it, I was like, it's kind of similar style because it was like really exaggerated features where the
Mhm.
head was really big, but it was still like it had like the stroked
Yeah.
outlines and not like pretty similar to I would say like Adventure Time, honestly.
Mhm.
Um, but even back then, it was before I don't even know if Adventure Time was out yet at that point, but it's kind of just like that same style, but now I'm just
Yeah.
doing it at a higher level, I would say.
Okay, dope. So let's talk about like your style and tools kind of right now, because I'm glad you said that. So your work has such a like a very distinct look, like you were just breaking it down for us. It's bright, it's clean, it's fun, and it's bold. You did say once that you describe your style as a modern vintage vector art. Break that down for us. How did you land on such like a specific fusion of retro and modern?
I think the artwork came first and then that title that you just mentioned, modern vintage, and kind of came after. So it wasn't like I was like, all right, what should my style be? Let's go with modern vintage. It was more so like the way it evolved over time. That's just kind of how I would describe it at this point.
Mhm.
And I think that comes from just my desire to kind of go back to my childhood and get the nostalgic vibes of childhood, and that
Mhm.
gives me that vintage look, but I'm also giving it kind of a modern twist where it's more, you know, a little bit more 2025, I guess, like just that hip factor
Mhm.
that I try to put into my art, where the characters are like cool looking or like have a little attitude to them. So that's where like the
Gotcha.
modern side comes from,
Mhm.
combined with the nostalgic childhood vibes that are also in my artwork.
Got you. So were there any like influences from other illustrators like that you were looking up or researching that kind of helped like put the battery in your back and you're just like, "Oh, okay, I see what they're doing. I'm gonna try to go that route too."
I would definitely say Adventure Time is one. I can't remember the name of the artist for Adventure Time. I should know that.
No
Um,
worries.
but yeah, that and then there's an artist animator named Motion Marcus. He's very skilled at creating these characters that and like his animations are just next level.
Mhm.
But he's also got the same like stroked outline characters that I do,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where I saw his stuff and I was like, yeah, I like that a lot.
Mhm.
And before I was doing with the characters with the strokes, I was doing just like flat shapes with no strokes on them, and I kind of switched over. I think that was like not that long ago, maybe 5 6 years ago,
Mm.
where all my artwork now has strokes, obviously like a typical cartoon.
Now, when you were in school, did you always think like illustration over design, or did you kind of just step into design because of illustration?
In school, I was not. Illustration was not my main priority. Honestly, music was still my thing in college, and I also was playing soccer. I played 4 years of Division 1 soccer, so that was like my main focus, honestly. But it was like illustration, of course, was always like in the background. I was always doing stuff on my own, not
Mhm.
making any money off of it or like trying to promote it or anything. It was
Mhm.
strictly for myself, which was fun. It's like there was no pressure about it. But yeah, I would say like once I got out of college and I was like, I needed a job and I needed to start making money. That's when I started taking it more serious and I started leaning more into, I guess I was just really doing whatever came
Mhm.
my way. So there was a lot of design stuff where I was doing posters where it was like Photoshop based, but Illustrator like became my number one priority because it just ended up making me or getting me the most business, I would say.
Mhm.
And then I grew to love it more than making music or doing any Photoshop stuff. So it just kind of naturally just became my number one priority.
Mm. So are most of your illustrations hand drawn first and then you take it to the computer, or do you just automatically just jump into Adobe Illustrator and start
Yeah.
cranking them out?
Yeah. I go straight into Illustrator. So I don't, I very, very rarely sketch on paper. The one thing I will sketch every once in a while is hands because they're kind of tricky. So it's a lot of erasing and going back in and fixing stuff. So hands are pretty much the only thing. So like if you said you're familiar with the hand pack, those were all
Yeah.
drawn by hand first. and then brought into Illustrator. But if I'm just creating a character, I'm usually jumping straight into Illustrator because I've learned to kind of just bend the vectors
Mhm,
and make adjustments to the points and bend the curves
mhm,
um, the way that I want to. Instead of erasing, I can kind of just move the lines around the way that I want to.
mhm,
And that's just become my way of sketching. So like even now, if I'm doing something that I want to make a physical
mhm,
picture, like a painting or I did a mural, I'm designing that stuff in Illustrator first. So like that's where I would make the sketch essentially.
mhm,
I'm making the sketches in Illustrator and then bringing them into physical. So kind of backwards.
mhm.
Just that's just how comfortable I am with Illustrator now.
Yeah, man, everybody has their process. I loved Illustrator because background in graffiti. So it was kind of like more understanding how to use the tools because I could draw it on paper, but I needed to figure out how to digitize it. So once
Yeah.
I figured out like the pen tool, the pencil tool, vectorizing, shape, let's say morphing, but shape, stacking, and then cutting those pieces out, like finding out and understanding all that, I was like, oh, this is a lot quicker. That's why I was curious to see, like, do you draw it first? Because I am a draw it first, put it in, trace, and then I adjust based off of everything else. But that's, hey, if it works because your work is dope. So I'm not even going to knock it or hate it, man. It is everybody has their way of getting to it. And I think yours is like just a dope way of doing it. So let's talk about your characters for a minute though. Like, bruh, they're simple. They're super, like, expressive, like, how do you how did you balance that minimalism with, like, personality? Because it's like, now with a lot of anime, it's kinda like a lot of stuff is, like, to me now, I'm not an anime hater, but to me, I feel like they're very much, like, overdone, over-glossed,
Right.
over-accessorized, over everything. Colors are bright and flashing and glowing. And so it's like, how did you balance minimalism with personality with your characters that you come up with?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I've never really thought about it too much, but I think maybe it could just be because when I was first starting out creating characters, I didn't have like the skill set that I do now. So maybe just the simplicity was just because that's all I could do at the time. And then as I grew, I kept like honing in on the way my process was going and just
Mhm,
building on that. And the simplicity stayed the same, but the visual appeal got better. So I just got really good at making simple things, which I think is a skill that a lot of people don't necessarily have because people might try to put too much into it and make it overcomplicated, and then it doesn't really give off the right vibe that they're looking for. So I do definitely intentionally keep things simple, just because that's like become my look at this point.
mhm.
So I try to make it simple as possible, but also give it like just a little bit of attitude or expression that gives it that extra push that makes it look really nice.
Yeah. So let's talk about the actual application Adobe Illustrator, right? We both know hundreds of tools. Like, you can be overwhelmed if you are a beginner jumping into it, but your go-to tool is the pencil tool. Now, why is it that's tool specifically versus you have the line segment, you have the pen tool, now you have the spiral, like all these different tools that can help vectorize an object for you. Why is the pencil tool like so important specifically to you?
I think the pencil tool is just a really in between like hand drawing and computer drawing. It's like I feel like it's right in the middle
Mhm,
where it's not exactly hand drawing because it does help you out because it can like smooth out your lines,
mhm,
but you're pretty much drawing the lines how you want it, and as you get really comfortable with the pencil tool, you can kind of figure out how it's going to adjust your lines for you.
mhm,
So you can kind of just get the line in there the way you want it with the pencil tool and then
mhm.
make adjustments. Whereas the pen tool, you got to be a little bit more precise with it.
Yeah,
It's not as
very
free.
true. Mhm,
But actually, honestly, recently I feel like I've been using the pen tool a lot more, maybe even more than the pencil tool,
mm,
because it's not a super new feature, but you can actually just like draw a straight line with the pen tool. So just point, and then you can just drag the line out to make a
yeah,
curve.
Yeah.
which is that's not always been a feature, but I've been using that a lot. I've been using that a lot more recently because then you have an anchor point or the handles on each anchor point.
Yep.
And when you do a pencil tool, you don't automatically have the handles on each anchor point. So the pen tool is nice in that way, and I've been using it a lot more recently.
Why do you think people overlook the pencil tool? What is your thoughts
Um,
on it?
I don't know. I think the pen tool just has like that name behind it where people like I think people who aren't even designers know what the pen tool is. The kind of like it's kind of like the number one tool in Adobe products. People like just know about it, I guess. And the
Right.
pencil tool is maybe just not on people's radar as much. That's my guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think the pencil tool would is probably the most underrated tool in Illustrator because people either hate it or they love it. So
Yeah.
for me, I love it.
Yeah. I am. When I start teaching vectoring, I start off with the pen tool to see where my students are at to gauge them. But then I teach them the pencil tool, and I seem to get better outcomes with the pencil tool. I think
Yeah.
it makes it easier for them to, like, once I show them how to change the options in Illustrator for the pencil tool,
Mm.
you can double click it, you can make it smooth or not. I always tell them, make it smooth. It's very forgiving. If you don't have a steady, because we're using like mouse. So it's not
Yeah.
like we don't have like the tablets or anything like that. But I said, it's very forgiving. But I always said, treat it just like what the pen tool is. If you want it to be a closed object, you have to make sure you go back to the original point, because I was like, I always show them too. I was like, because if you don't, when you go fill, guess what it's going to do? I was like, it's going to make this weird morphous blob. But if you just want it to be that, it's like the same exact steps as the pen tool. Always go back
Mhm.
to your original point. So I get dope work out of the pencil tool. So I think I'm slowly pulling away from the pen tool, but
Yeah,
I still have to teach it to them. So
for sure.
somebody's got to have that skill set. All right. So what are some like underrated tools that you've also found out in Adobe Illustrator that you feel a lot of people don't use?
Well, we just touched on it. I think the pencil tool is pretty underrated.
Yeah.
For me, I use the Pathfinder a lot. I don't know if that's underrated necessarily. I don't really hear people talking about it too much,
Mhm.
but I use the Pathfinder a lot for making like if I have to make like a half circle, I'm just dragging out a circle and then drawing a rectangle over half of it, and then Pathfinder doing the I don't know which one it's called, but you know
Yeah.
the overlapping
Yeah.
Pathfinder option,
Yeah.
just to make like a half circle. It's just really quick. So yeah, I would say Pathfinder is underrated in my opinion.
Is there any other tools within Illustrator you feel that people should explore more, that you, like you just said, the pencil tool, the Pathfinder? Is there anything else that you've been like heavily like, oh, what is this? How I'm not seeing a lot about this. Is there just
Mm.
one specific tool you think people should explore more in Illustrator?
Maybe the color options. They have a lot of
Yeah.
really cool edit colors. Like if
Mhm.
you go up, I think it's can't remember what it is on their window panel, but if you go to edit colors,
Mhm.
there's a ton of color palettes that you can automatically change your artwork to.
Mhm.
If you just highlight your artwork and then hit edit colors,
Mhm.
it gives you like hundreds of different color options. And then there's
Yeah.
even generative recolor now, which is the AI assisted recolor tool. So you can just type in a prompt. So you can do something like summer sunset, like
Mhm.
bright, vibrant colors, and it'll
Yeah.
give you like four options. So
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. I use it sometimes. I have a pretty distinct color palette that I pretty much stick to, but that's something that I think people could explore if they're trying to find out what their color palette should be.
And I'm glad you touched on that. How do you feel about the AI in Illustrator?
I don't use it too much just because it doesn't really help with like my specific style.
Got you.
I like the AI tools that kind of help with your workflow rather than like generating images. And right now there's not a lot of AI assisted tools. There's more so AI assisted, like AI generated stuff in
Mhm.
Illustrator. Whereas I know in Photoshop and like Premiere, there's more so tools that like actually help with your workflow. So like removing stuff from a photo, like stuff like that is how I would typically want to use Illustrator or
Mhm.
AI. and there's not a lot of that stuff in Illustrator yet, but
Right.
I have heard there's some things on the horizon coming from Adobe soon, so we'll just have to keep our eyes out for that.
Yeah. So let's talk about process for a minute. Let's see. You've built characters from what? Everyday objects like a fire hydrant, outlets, poles,
Yeah.
juice boxes. Like,
Juice
yeah. So, like, what sparked this approach to give these inanimate object this personality and character?
Yeah, that's a series I started on my TikTok. It was when my second my wife was in the hospital with our second kid about to be born. So we were chilling in the hospital and there was this little outlet. It was like an oxygen outlet or something
Mhm.
where they plug in the air and it looked like a little face. This little thing looked like a face.
Yeah.
And I was like, that looks like a face. And so my wife is like sitting there, like getting ready to have a baby. I was like, I'm gonna take a video of this real quick. And I took the video of this little object that looked like a face. And then once the baby was born and everything was all good and settled down and we were back home, I just made it into a video where I turned that little object into a face and it blew up on TikTok and Instagram did pretty well too. But, yeah, that's where that started, and then I just kinda started, like, looking for faces wherever I was in public,
Mhm.
and if anything had, like, what looked like eyes and a mouth, then I would kinda just take a video of it real quick and then bring it back home and bring it into Illustrator and turn it into a character.
Dope. So how do you determine like the kind of personalities these objects get? Because some of them are like fun, some are serious, some are kind of
Yeah,
quirky. So it's just like, how do you determine like, okay, this is going to be a fun guy. This guy's going to be kind of serious. Like, how do
I
you
think
determine that?
yeah, I guess it kinda just depends on the vibe of
Mhm.
what it looks like, naturally. The first one that I was just telling you about that I did while my wife was in the hospital, it was a happy, like, moment. We were getting ready to have our second kid. So that character, he's like, "Yeah," like, putting the peace sign. He's, like,
Yeah.
happy and he's excited. And then I have one where it was like a seat to one of those racing games in the
Mhm.
arcade, and he just there was, like, lights and stuff blinking on him, and he's, like, glowing. So I made that guy, like, super trippy and, like, stoned out of his mind sorta thing. So it kinda just depends on the vibe of whatever the object is. I'll
Mhm.
try to kinda match that with his expression.
So is it kind of like wherever you find it in the wild, you kind of like look at it and be like, okay, this is a fun place, or this reminds me of this. So it's kind of like wherever that item is and
Yeah.
what's happening around it. Oh, that's
Yeah,
dope.
kind of a combination of that and then also just, like, what the actual face looks like. So if the face is, like, really big eyes,
Mhm.
then, like, he's gonna look like
Yeah.
very surprised or something like that, or if the eyes are, like, smaller, then he's just, like, kinda calm, chilling.
Got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one thing I noticed though is and it's really good for you because I'm gonna just share my point. I took a life drawing class and I hate drawing hands and feet. All mine, I could do the body, the neck, the head, the hair, the arms, form. I can't draw hands and feet. And I think that's why I never went into like life draw illustrating with hands and feet. But your focus is a lot on like expressions, hand gestures, body poses in your design. So what are those why are those the main ingredients for you? Because it's like for me, I struggled with like hands and feet, but for you, it's like you have done such an excellent job of it. So it's like, why are those the main ingredients for you to like kind of focus on and get detail to?
Just because I think that those are the main ways to show expression is, like, obviously through your face and through your hands if you're, like, a hand talker. Those are the best ways to show expression, obviously. So if I'm trying to make a person look, like, angry or something, obviously, then the facial expression is gonna have to reflect that. And, as far as the hands go, I tend to just go back to my hand pack a lot and reuse them a lot. I know I use the peace sign a lot. That's kind of become my thing where I start all my videos with the peace, so I like to give a lot of my characters the peace sign. But besides that, I'm not really putting too much thought into, like, the poses or anything or even the hand poses. I'm not really using those too much for showing expression. I'm kinda just using the face for the most part.
Mm. Got it. How long did it take you to make those packs?
I think I mean, it's kinda hard to say because I have a page in a sketchbook where I was just kinda, like, going back to it, like, over months where I would just, like, think of one and then draw it in there, so I would say, like, a couple months to, like, get enough. I think there's 9 in there in the hand pack, so once I got them all done, it was really quick to just vectorize them and get them into Illustrator, and then I just had to package everything into the product that people can buy.
Yeah. Dope. So this is one thing I was just like, my wife and I were having the conversation of children, and can you talk with us about how your daughter is being part of your like process with these toddler illustration episodes? I mind you, I showed my wife and she was like, "Oh my God, I can cry right now. That is so
Yeah.
precious." So do you mind sharing a little bit about that? Because that seems like a very like fun, open, authentic, like, learning session for her, and it seems like you're kinda getting a little bit of inspiration off of her too, because 'cause she'll be like, "No, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no,"
She'll let me
like,
know.
yeah. So, would you do you mind sharing with us about that process and how it got started for you 2?
Yeah, she's 4 now. We started doing those when she was only 2.
Oh, wow.
So she I would be so I s rewind a little bit. I stay home with my kids during the day. My wife has a full-time job, so I'm home with them all day. So there might be times where I have to, like, let her sit on my lap while I'm doing a little bit of work.
Uh-huh.
So she's been, like, watching me design since she was very small, and she would always ask me, like, "Let me do something, like, can we make something?" And
Mhm,
so, like, since she's, like, been able to talk, she, like, really has shown interest in doing it.
mhm,
And as she got a little bit older, like almost 3,
mhm,
she started asking me to, like, make videos because we were already doing it a lot. So
mhm,
she straight up is the one that came up with the idea of doing that. So yeah, I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." We did, like, the first one, and it got a really good feedback, and I only do those videos when she asks me to do it. I don't, like, force her to do it or anything. There's been episodes that we've, like, started filming and she's, like, not feeling it at all, and she, like, doesn't wanna do it anymore, so we'll
mhm,
just, like, stop in the middle of it. Like, "Okay, I guess that episode's not happening," but I'm, like, very, like, conscious of trying not to like, force her to do
mhm,
anything. I only want her to do it if it's fun for her, so
mhm,
it's pretty much for her,
mhm.
and if she wants to do it, then we do it. If she doesn't want to, then we don't, so that's kind of where it is, yeah.
So how do you come up with the characters? Is it something from her imagination, or is it something you guys kinda pre-talked about and she just comes in ready to go?
Not at all. I intentionally don't, like, try not to talk to her about it
Mhm,
before we start filming because I want her to, like, give her opinions while we're filming.
mm,
So everything you see in the videos is, like, it's that's what it is.
that's dope.
She's giving all the opinions and, like, if she wants, like, a big head, she'll say, "Do a big head." She's giving all the direction,
The creative direction.
all up to her.
So has she sat down and kind of, I know this may sound funny, critique the videos herself or saw something when she gets a chance to see them?
No, I wouldn't say critique, but she does like watching them.
Uh-huh.
Pull them up on the TV on YouTube every once in a while just so she
Mhm.
can watch it because she thinks they're hilarious, which they are. They're so funny. I think,
Yeah.
like, honestly, I think they're the most entertaining thing that I do on any of my social media or anything, but
Mhm.
that's probably just me being biased, I don't know. But, like, they seem to do, like, the least amount of views, which is kinda confusing to me.
Mm.
I'm not, like, super focused on that, but I had noticed that, like, they do the least amount, so that's not what we're really doing it for, but it's an interesting note.
Oh, that's dope. So I'm just curious, like, because I'm looking at the YouTube thing, like all these thumbnails look so hilarious. Do you tell her to pose, or is she just like, all right, let's take the picture now? Or is she just very
Yeah.
much like in full character the whole time?
Some of them are posed, and then some of them are, like, actual just, like, a screenshot from when we're filming. So
Mm.
we'll before each video, we'll do, like, the peace sign. We'll be like, "Yo, welcome to a new episode, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah." And then at the end, we'll usually do, like, some sort of outro, and that's usually where I can find, like, a good screen grab of her making a funny face or something.
That's dope, man. Well, I think they're great, and it's you don't know with this algorithm, brother, but I think they're great, and I think it's a very like wholesome thing to see because we always see the life of the designer. We never get to see the family of the designer
Mhm.
because it's like sometimes we forget, like even for myself, we kind of get locked in and we don't show that, like, I don't want to say personal side of us, but like the human side of us. People think we're just this automatic creative designer, logo, website, content push out person. It's like this shows like a really cool, like humbling way of being like, hey, like I know we have so much going on, but let's like bring it back to the like the simple fun
Yeah.
aspect of design. And I think this is a great way of doing it. I was telling my wife, I was like, this is just like a fun way for a designer to look at design. One, this is I'm a thinker because I was like, one, we kind of forget to have fun. We
Mhm.
always think it has to be a certain way, but, like, watching that, she is totally having fun. She's like, "I don't like
Yeah.
that font. Oh, I like that." Or she'll be like, "Maybe that one. Oh, yeah, I like
Yeah.
that." Like, so it's like
Yeah.
that kind of, like, instinct to know instead of laboring over a process, where it's just like, "Is it gonna be this? Is it gonna be that?" I don't know, but this kinda brings back to a book I read in my, graduate school. It was like The Art of Play or Understanding Play Within Your Work, and this was like kind of like a straight cool lesson on it. So I just want to give you props props to the on
Thank you.
that, man. That's so dope.
Yeah,
So
I think it would be crazy to not include my kids in like my artwork or like my
yeah,
social media presence just because this there's such they are my life, you know. It's like
yeah.
as cliche as that sounds, like that's I'm with them every day, all
Mhm,
day. So like
mhm,
it would be impossible for me to not like have them show up in some sort of fashion in my artwork or on my social
yeah.
media. So
Well, because we know people have certain aesthetics they wanna keep, you know what I mean?
right.
People have certain looks, but I think the dad creative is a fire look, bro. I think you wear it well and it looks fun. It looks genuinely fun. I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
it
So
is.
keep it up, man. I wanna commend
Thank
you
you.
on that. So let's talk about teaching and content creation. We touched on a little bit of it, but beyond being an artist, you also are a teacher and, you know, you've built this huge following through showing people your process videos, step-by-step tutorials, like on YouTube. So what made you start to share these process publicly?
Yeah, I think just giving value back to the community is great. I think people really people really enjoy following somebody that's like giving something to them. So that was kind of my mindset when I started doing tutorials. And then the process videos, I feel like I have a pretty unique process for how I design because I use a lot of shapes and overlapping
Mhm,
shapes and stuff like that, where usually people or typically people are doing the outline of a
mhm,
design first and then filling it in with the color.
mhm,
That's how I typically used to see people designing, and I was like, I haven't seen anybody doing this design like this, so I'm gonna show my process to see just to see if like anybody else can connect with it and
mhm,
see if people like it, and people liked it, so I kept doing it, and
mhm,
that's just I think just yeah, like I said, giving back to the community is just a great way to kind of both build a following and just like have people that want to come back and learn more at a later stage.
mhm. So how do you plan these tutorials? Like they're both educational and fun from the thumbnail of the video to actually you talking through the content, talking through the steps. Like how do you plan it based off of that? Is it kind of like I need to make it fun or I need to give all this information or do you kind of let it all organically happen?
It's pretty organic. I'm pretty much just teaching things that I use in my actual workflow.
Mhm,
So I'm not like going out of my way to learn something new
mhm,
just just to teach it. I'm teaching stuff that I already know like naturally that I've learned over the years. And then I'm not writing scripts or anything. I'm kind of just coming up with a topic and then talking about it and filming it. I'll do a lot of editing to the video, of course, because I'll like stumble over my words and stuff, or
yeah.
might want to like go back and say something differently. But I'm not like writing out any scripts. I'm not
Mhm,
planning anything out really. I'm just this is the topic. I'm gonna just go ahead and record my screen, talk about it, and then I'll edit it down into like a more digestible video.
got you, got you. So we know how social media can be just sometimes just shit because people are going to be haters. People aren't going to give praise. But I want to touch on what has been something that's been like rewarding or surprising that you've gotten from someone who has followed one of your tutorials or videos.
Um, I think YouTube specifically has a lot of really positive comments. I have a folder on my phone where I'll like take screenshots of like positive comments, and I'll just like go back and read them sometimes if I'm like feeling like shit or anything. But yeah, YouTube, there's always very positive comments about like this has helped me to create like I never knew how to do this. This has helped me like get through my course in college,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So when people say that it's really helping them with their actual process and workflow, then that I think those are the most meaningful comments on social media.
Oh, so this one might tear you in two. Do you prefer designing your characters or do you prefer teaching others how to do it?
Um, yeah, I love both, but if I had to pick, I would say just designing my own characters because that's the more creative side. When I'm teaching stuff, I'm like, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but kind of keeping it a little bit more simple because I'm teaching it. Obviously, I don't want to just
Consumable.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be, yeah, it's got to be consumable and digestible and understandable if I'm teaching it. So there might, sorry, that's my dog.
Nah, no worries, man.
Uh,
It's all good.
if I'm just creating something for myself, I might be doing like all sorts of stuff that like I wouldn't even be able to explain in a tutorial. So like that's like more fun because I'm just free to do whatever I want without having to
Yeah.
think about teaching or explaining what I'm doing.
Got you, got you, got you. Okay, that makes sense. Because I know some people kind of like they get torn between like that whole concept of like, oh, I should be doing this because this generates more numbers, because it's
Mm.
in that YouTube era, but it's like I can see how both are actually very beneficial for you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about building your online brand. Like Imma just say it, your social presence is a vibe on TikTok, on YouTube. So, what have you learned about showing up consistently on social media as a creator?
Yeah, it's just been a really long time of me being on Instagram and it's just sort of become like subconscious that I haven't maybe posted this week. I got to get something up.
Mhm,
And I don't I try not to overthink it too much, but if I know like I haven't posted in a while, I'll just try to like get something, maybe even just recycle something that I did in the past and kind of like reuse something, or maybe just do like switch up the colors on a design that I've done, just like to have some new content, just to stay present and to just keep people's eyes on my page as much as possible. And then at the same time, trying to like the educational stuff, like trying to make stuff like that that people really enjoy watching and want to come back to. So a balance of creating stuff that I love personally and then also creating stuff that I know other people will love, even if
mhm.
it's not necessarily something that I love for myself. I know other people will like it.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of balance those two things and get both of those up on my social media.
Now, how do you decide what content to create? Do you have a feeling or do you have like a lot of people? We've all seen it on Instagram. Everybody has a strategy flow chart that they're trying to push out. So for you, what is it? How do you decide on what to create and what to go with for the week or for the day?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not planning out that much really. If I don't have anything that's planned as far as like sponsored content,
Mhm,
then I'll just do my like create a character. Like I have an idea that I've had in my head, I'll just do that. So I have a list on my phone of stuff that like ideas that I
mm,
want to get down, and then I have like a Pinterest board of ideas. So if I ever have free time where I'm not working on client work or anything, I'll kind of just go to that list or the Pinterest board and kind of just create something new, and then that's the content that I'll end up posting. Or if
dope.
there's an idea that I have for a tutorial, obviously I create the tutorial and post that.
Oh, dope. I love that your flow in work and your process seems very like what's moving you, like how you feel,
Yeah.
because I feel like that will. Well, let me ask you. Have you encountered burnout yet, or are you very much like watching that and regulating that?
Um, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say if I've ever experienced burnout because there's times where maybe I don't have any ideas. And if that happens, then I just won't work. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like forcing myself to do it. So it doesn't feel like I'm like burnt out
Mhm,
because I'm just like, okay, I'm like, I have some free time to just
mhm,
chill, maybe like watch some movies that I've been wanting to watch or something.
mhm,
So it doesn't really feel like a negative thing
mhm,
if I'm like out of ideas at the moment,
mhm,
but it doesn't last that long. If that does happen,
mhm,
I can kind of like get back into it pretty quickly. So it might be like a week or 2 weeks where I don't have any good ideas and it's fine. Like that happens, but
mhm.
I'll just take that time to just chill out and relax and then once I'm ready to get back into it, and I'll hop back into there.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, because I feel like the way you work, based off of our conversation, it's like the way you work, the way you come up with ideas and determine what content comes out. I feel like it keeps you like even kill, where it's not like, okay, I gotta get 30 videos out. I gotta get 5 short clips out. I gotta da. Like you're not
Mm.
like building up this big monster of that could wipe you out. But
Yeah,
it's just like you're very much at an even pace where it's like, okay, I got family, I got life. Okay. Oh, I got this idea. Let me design something. Family life. Oh, another idea. Let me design something. So I think a lot of designers should probably try to look into that to avoid the hitting 40 and they're just like, nah, I don't want to do design anymore. I'm over it.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm very conscious of taking time to myself and just hanging out with my wife or hang out with the kids. I spent like I said, I spend every day and all day with my kids. So
Mhm,
there are times where my wife could probably take them by herself and she
mhm.
would be just fine, but I'll choose to go hang out with all of them together because that's more important. Obviously, like there's nothing more important than family. So
Yeah, that's
if there ever is a time where I'm like extra busy with work, then of course I'll dial in and like, yeah, you're gonna have to take the kids. Like, can you like get them out of my office? They're bothering me. But for the most part, I'm pretty much working
Mhm.
when they after they go to bed, pretty much late at night, I'm working on all my personal stuff.
Got you. So let's talk about some of these partners you've worked with. You've worked with brands like Adobe, Sticker App. What is it like to see your work translate into like from digital to actual like physical products? How was that for you?
That's the best. Like I like turning something that's just 2D on a screen into something physical is like that's like what I love the most. I just
Mhm.
actually made my first art toy.
Yeah.
I think I got one right here. Actually, I could pull it up.
Yeah. Pull it up for us. I was going to ask you about that, but that's good.
Got right here, little
Yeah.
dude. It's my first art toy that I made. He's made out of resin, so he's got a little bit of weight to him.
Mhm.
But it started out just as a 2D design, and then I found a program called Womp 3D, and I
Mm.
designed it in there. And then they actually do prints, so I was able to get. I did a partnership with them where they sent me a couple of free prints for a little bit of promotion video. So I got 2 prints made, and I hand painted them myself, and used those hand painted ones as kind of like the samples, and
Mhm.
then I did a pre-sale, see how many people wanted them, and then I had them professionally made through a manufacturer. So,
Dope.
yeah, it's it's super satisfying just to have something 2D and then turn it into a physical 3D object. And then like you're
That's
saying
crazy.
with the with sticker app, same thing, like bringing things to life, and even though stickers are still 2D, it's still like in person and a physical
Yeah.
object. It's just very satisfying to have your designs come to life.
So what is I was writing it down when you were speaking. What is WOMP 3D? Because there's tons of 3D vectorizing applications. So what was the process of like working with them? How was that?
So this character that I made, that was the first character that I even tried. Like the first time I
Mm,
got into the program, that's
mhm,
what I came up with. Because I went into the program specifically to make that.
mhm,
So it's a pretty simplified version of a 3D modeling program. So it's made for beginners, I would say, and
mhm.
it's very intuitive. And I was able to make that on my first attempt. So
Oh,
that just
wow.
shows you how simple it is and how easy it is. And then they also have the option to print, like right within the user interface. There's a button you can click on that says print my object, and they'll send you a print straight to your door. So it's very convenient and it's really easy.
That's dope, man. Yeah, Imma definitely check that out.
Yeah,
So how was it working with Adobe? How was that process?
I love working with Adobe. I've like always used Illustrator, Photoshop. I use Premiere to edit my videos.
Mhm,
I animate in After Effects.
mhm,
So I use all the Adobe products and I've been using them for a while. So I just became a partner with them 3 or 4 years ago. I think that they reached out to me asking me to do a video Adobe Express. So I did that, and then I've just like our relationship has grown. Like they invited me to a couple summits, one in New York, one in San Francisco, where it's just a group of like 30 illustrators and designers,
mhm,
and basically get to connect and meet with the Adobe team,
mhm,
give them feedback on their products, and kind of they just use that to listen to what us creatives have to say. So they're very good at like being in touch with what the creators want.
yeah.
They invited me down to Adobe Max this past year in Miami, so that was
Oh,
cool. That's my first time going to Adobe Max. And
dope.
I even was a speaker for Adobe Max this past year. It was an online session where I created a character based off an object. So it's similar. Like they're very good at letting you do your own thing and letting you be creative. So I was able to just do what I always do, but it was an official speech
Got you.
for Adobe Max. So it's really fun.
I was gonna ask you out of curiosity, what is it? Adobe Fresco? Do you ever use, like, an iPad or anything like that for Adobe Fresco?
Yeah, yeah. So I've had an iPad for a while, and I just like never use it just because, like I said, I never hand draw. But
Yeah.
I just got Adobe Fresco maybe like 3 or 4 months ago,
Mhm.
and I was playing with it a little bit, but I just I just don't hand draw that much. So
Got you.
yeah, I would like to do some more stuff because I'd like to do some more natural looking stuff, like not so cartoony. And
Mhm.
that's where like I feel like if I do some hand drawn stuff, that'll be a little bit more organic and natural. So that's one of the things I want to do more of in the future.
Okay. Alright. So, this is the moment where it's the quick, fast round. Just the first thing that comes to mind, and you can break it down. Here we go.
Yep.
Favorite cartoon character of all time? And you can only pick one of all time.
Just character or show, just the specific
Character.
character.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's go with Gerald from Hey Arnold.
Okay. Creative ritual that gets you, like, focused and in the zone.
I turn on some lo-fi music that usually gets me in the zone. Just some background music for sure.
Okay. One snack you like to have while working.
Ooh, see, there's these. I told you, it's a very specific snack.
Uh-huh.
It's this. I don't even know what they're called though. They're like chocolate covered blueberries.
Oh, fro.
You like get them from like Costco or.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I know exactly.
They're so good. I'm addicted to them. I eat way too many of them.
Any everyday object you haven't turned into a character yet.
I think I gotta do a car because sometimes when you're like at a stoplight in the back of a car and the headlights kind of look like eyeballs.
Yeah.
I gotta do a car. I think.
You should do, I know this is gonna be stupid, but I'm gonna say, right when you said car, I thought about, what is it? Designer, Panda, how the back of the car, that's where he got the whole idea of a panda, that song from BMW. So that's how I was like, that's gonna be hilarious. You don't have to do that, but I know it's crazy.
I never knew that. I know the song, but I didn't know that's where it came from.
But if you watch the car, it's based off of the car in the music video.
Got you.
Like,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Never realized that.
yeah. All right. Your theme song, and what would it be? Your favorite theme song, and what would it be?
Theme song, I gotta go with Jay Dilla, Won't Do,
Mhm.
but the instrumental version.
Got you.
I like the lyrics in the actual vocals in it, but just the instrumental alone is just so like bubbly
Mhm,
and it's got that really nice break beat in it.
mhm.
I think it's like a Isley Brothers break beat. And then like yeah, Dilla is just the best, the GOAT
Mm.
producer in my opinion.
Okay, this is gonna be a tough one. We know your music background, and now you have your design background. If you could only choose one for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Music or design?
Yeah.
It's got
Money
design. Yeah,
listen, I was gonna say money's not an option. You don't have to think about it. You have all the resources at the tip of your finger.
definitely design for sure at this point.
Why
Not that I don't love Maze Interesting, but
uh
it's just I've like at this point, Illustrator is just it's my thing. It's like my life at this point.
Okay. So let's touch on music really quick. This is kind of just throwing this out there. Top 5 producers for you.
Just like beat makers.
Yep.
Let's go. I mean, Jay Dilla.
Okay.
I love Madlib, Timbaland, and then that's at 3. Let's
Yeah.
go with Alchemist, and then I wouldn't say Pharrell is like one of my favorites, but just like I just like respect him enough to like put him in the top 5 just because like all the stuff that he's done. So I'd say Pharrell slash Neptunes.
Dope. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, Cody, man, we have been cooking. We just got a few more questions left. I thank you for your time and all the gems you've been dropping on us. So, you've talked about wanting to create a fully animated cartoon series. What would that look like, and what kind of story would you want to tell?
Yeah, I think yeah, just naturally as a character designer, like the max goal would be to turn those characters into a show. So that's probably I don't know where you heard me say that, but that is true. I would love to like have a cartoon on like Nickelodeon someday, and I think I would if there's any like network, I would want it to be on Nickelodeon just because of like the nostalgia. That is what I watched the most as a kid.
Right.
But I would ideally just like to be the character designer, like creating all the characters and kind of create a world of these characters. Because a lot of the stuff that I make, they look like they all come from the same world, where they're all like these blue characters with giant ears and like crazy like facial expressions and stuff. So they all kind of look like they come from the same place. So it's already kind of laid out the foundation of what the cartoon would look like. It's just a matter of like writing stories and stuff, and then I'd probably base it off of like the Adventure Time vibe, where they just go on adventures and like do crazy stuff in this mystical, fictional world that they live in.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any creative territories you haven't explored yet, but you're just like curious to jump into?
That I haven't jumped into yet. I do a lot of stuff. I started painting a lot recently, so I've dove into that. So I can't really say that. I've made a toy, so I can't really say 3D modeling. Um, that's a good question. I don't know if there's anything that I haven't already done that I
No,
want to do.
that's dope.
Because
Yeah.
I just like if I want to do something, I
You
try
just
to
do it.
do it. Yeah, I don't ponder on it too much. I just kind of do it.
That's dope. Man, I wish I could do that. Sometimes I got to think about it for a sec. Like a second to me is like a week. So if I say I'm
Right.
thinking about it for a second, that means like give me a week. That just let me.
And a minute is like 6 months.
Yeah. Exactly. See, I'm glad we hear all that because a lot of people don't get
Yeah.
that.
I need a minute. And it's
Yeah.
like 6 months later.
So you know that idea you brought to me? What idea? This one. Oh, oh, you remember that? I was like, yeah, I told you I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right.
Still in there. You
Yeah.
just gotta be patient.
So this one might be fun for you. What is a dream collaboration with any brand, any artist, or platform?
Um, that's I think doing something with
Let's just go one from each. So one brand, one
yeah.
artist, and one platform. Let's do that.
Okay, a brand I think I would probably say Stussy because I've worn Stussy a lot, like even since I was pretty young. I just really like the vibe of like all their like graphic tees. I think I could make some pretty cool graphic tees for them.
Dope.
So that and then what were the other ones?
Artist.
Like a musician artist or just like artist like
A design artist. What would be a
design
dream
artist.
collaboration for them, for a design artist? Anyone.
Let's just go with my guy Adam the Illustrator. That's like I've met him in Illustrator Summit in New York, and we've both been following each other for a while, and we both have pretty similar styles. And I've been telling him we got to do a collab, but he never follows up with me. Even like
He's on that give me a minute. He's on that minute, right? Exactly.
needs a minute for sure. Right? He's become like a good friend of mine that where we talk a lot. So we got to get that one going for sure.
Okay. And the last one is platform.
Platform. What do you mean by platform exactly?
So you have like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Like you can like who would be like a dream to work for where they're just like, yo, create this energy, based off of
Right.
your character, based off of your storytelling? Who would be like a dream
Yeah.
platform you
That's
would be like?
that's a cool question. I think probably maybe Spotify, just
Ooh.
because that's what I'm using all the time when I'm listening to my music in the background.
Mhm.
I think doing like, I don't know, like artwork for their playlist or something like that. That would be
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah. I hate that they're so basic. They're just, I mean, okay, I might sound like a hater, but I just feel like the shapes are kind of played out. Like I kind of want to see more to it. Kind of like,
For like the playlist, you mean? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's why they need to hire me.
We're putting it out there. Spotify, my man's looking for you. Get him.
So,
All right. So, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, as both as a creator and a teacher and as a father?
5 to 10 years. That's a long time. Like a lot can happen in 5 to 10 years. My kids will be grown up, so I'll probably not grown up, but you know what I mean, not toddlers or
Yeah.
I'll probably have a little bit more time uh, to do some stuff. So I'm hopefully just still doing what I'm doing now, but just at a higher level, working with bigger brands and working with other artists like we were just discussing.
Mhm.
Hopefully doing a lot of that. And then ideally I would like to be making enough money to the point where my wife doesn't have to work anymore and I can just kind of support the whole family by myself with my artwork. That would be ideal, just so we could all be together at all times. So that's the goal.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I hope it happens for you. Praying for that for you. So, Cody, before we get out of here, where can the people find you?
Cody A Banks at on everything. Just got to remember to put the A in there. Cody A Banks, just so you don't get confused with Frankie Muniz, Agent Cody Banks. So you got to put the middle initial in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cody A Banks on everything: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's all the same. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, you guys, thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. My name is Justin Robinson. I have the illustrator master god himself, Cody A. Banks, and this is the Art School Graduate Podcast. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Thanks for having me. Peace.